Awesome. Hey everyone. Hope everyone's doing well and thanks for showing up. I see a lot of familiar faces, so glad you can make it this Friday evening. I'd like to first start by talking about MobileSpace, right? I think the story about how MobileSpace got started is an interesting one, and I'd like to share that with everyone. So one day in summer 2016, which is 2 years ago, I got a message from a person named Kylie on LinkedIn. And basically what she said was, I'm a recent bootcamp grad, and I saw that you had an internship recently and you do iOS development. So would you be down to get coffee and maybe share your experience with me? And so I agreed. And so we met up at a coffee shop in San Mateo. And as I was speaking to her, I realized that what she had done was she'd learned web development, right, with Angular and Express. But what she was really interested in was iOS development, right? And so we agreed to stay in touch after. And just for some context, this was back in 2016, and I was really passionate about mobile development because I was doing iOS and I was doing React Native. And also, I was just really motivated to make an impact. And so there's a quote that basically says, if you want to grow, you got to help the people around you grow as well. And so on my train ride back, I decided that I would basically set up this framework where I would do what I'm really passionate about, which is teach iOS development. And on the other hand, people like Kylie would be able to get a chance to sort of show up and learn iOS development in the process as well. So right at that time, I decided to do MobileSpace, and that's how MobileSpace got started. A few months after the course, Kylie texted me, and she said, hey, guess what? I actually got a full-time position in iOS development. And that was really exciting for me, right? Because that was basically the goal of MobileSpace, is to teach someone a new skill and give them the ability to go out there and sort of get a job in something that they're really passionate about. So over the past 2 years, I used to do that. And then earlier this year, a lot of students at SF State reached out to me, and they said that they'd like to sort of learn React Native. And so I figured that since I've been doing React Native for over 2 years now, and I'd also worked professionally as a software engineer, I thought that this would be a great time to do MobileSpace Season 2, where I can not just sort of teach them React Native, but also share a lot of the industry experience that I had with them. And so the way the course is set up is, it's an 11-week-long course. The first 2 weeks, they learn how to build a simple web application, just the front end in React. And for those of you who don't know, React is basically a front-end technology built by Facebook that lets you build declarative UIs. So after that, week 3 to week 8 is all about React Native. And React Native is built on top of React, and it basically enables you to build cross-platform mobile apps for iOS and Android. And so every week, we had about 3 or 4 hours that we met every Sunday at library at SF State, where I basically went over the material, and then every week there was an assignment where the students would have to complete that assignment before next week. And finally, the last 3 weeks, which is week 8 to week 11, the students break off and they form their own groups, and they come up with an idea, and for the next 3 weeks, they implement their own idea in React Native. Now I'd like to bring on Ryan and just share his experience about Season 2.
Cool. Great. Thanks, Monte. Thanks for coming, guys. It's been an awesome 11, 12 weeks with MobileSpace, with all the students and with Monte, and the impact that he's made on us and on the students as well. So let's give another hand for Monte. Me and Nick were talking about MobileSpace, and we're like, why does Monte do this? He works a 9-to-5 job. He does freelance, and he runs an open source project. Like, it's crazy. You put like 80 hours, at least what, like 80 hours or more. It's insane. Like, maybe I'm too selfish of a person, but I could never put that much time into something like that. And that shows really like the true passion that Monte has for React Native and for, sharing his passions with students. And it's really awesome. And thank you to all students for believing in us and believing in Monte for putting in this time to make these awesome apps, and we're super excited to share these apps with you. And I'm really excited also to share, to bring up these 2 amazing judges that we have, Devin and Jim. So if you guys want to come up and just give a little spiel about what you do and why you're here today, it'd be awesome.
Hey everyone, my name is Devin. I am an engineer at Airbnb. I wrote a book on React Native called Full Stack React Native. I made a site called React Native Express, which you might have been to. I wrote part of the official React Native documentation. So I know React Native pretty well, and it's awesome to be here. I was going to tell you more about me, but I actually remember this really funny story about Monte, which I kind of want to tell. So I'm going to do that instead. So this is how we met. We had a product, and Monte came into our chat. I forget why, but I was teaching a class on React Native, and this class is mostly for like professionals. So the tickets were $500 to $800 because companies would pay for people to take the class. So the people weren't paying, it was the companies paying. So that's a lot for a student. So Monte came into our channel and was like, hey, can I get a discount? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so I sent him the standard discount, which was like 30% off. But 30% off of 800 is still like a lot. So Monte was like, hey, how about $100? And I was like, well, the class isn't full, so I'm just going to get $0 otherwise. So yeah, sure. So Monte took our class, and he actually, we had 3 sample projects that students were supposed to do. It was supposed to take like 2 days, and Monte did all 3 of them on the first day. So I don't even know why he took the class, but at least he didn't pay full price.
Rad. My name is Jim, and Monte hit me up on Twitter, and it's like, you need a judge, and so I decided to show up. I'm really passionate about helping college students get positions in the real world because it's not that crazy. A lot of industry people are really hard on you guys. They put you guys through like these tough interviews. They make you seem like you have to be of a certain class of person, but really we just innovate, work on code. It's not that crazy. So I lead design for Expo right now. I work on the docs, I work on the website, and I work on basically rebranding and implementing the new products. So we're gonna have some new stuff coming out soon. And if you guys have any questions about what it's like to be a front engineer in the space, I have a lot of experience there, and I can answer any questions you have.
Thank you, judges, and thanks for being here again. So when you see these apps tonight, right, keep in mind that all the students had never built a React Native application before MobileSpace. So in the last 3 months, not only have they learned and mastered a new technology, but what's more impressive is that in the last 3 weeks, they've basically been able to implement their own idea and build a production-ready React Native app for iOS and Android. So tonight is not about me, it's about the students. So we're all here to celebrate their hard work, and what we want to let them know through this event, right, is that everything that they've done is basically remarkable, and we want to sort of let them know that they've done great so far. With that, I'd like to bring on the first theme, which is weekend.
Again, hi, I'm Girish, and I'm joined by my teammate Pawesh, and we are Team Weekend. Our app's name is called Weekend. All right, so let's start with who we are and what does this app do? We help you find like quirky and interesting places near you and plan your day. So there's 2 components to the app. For the first one is to find like really specific niche places around you, and the second one is whenever you have found those places, collect them in a list and an itinerary and build a planned day for you. Basically, plan the day after you have got the places that you need to visit. Right. All right. Before we even start with the demo, let me just talk you through the thinking process behind the project. Coming from design background, both of us coming from design background, we had to make sure that we were not only creating an app that was like a final project for our course, but actually making an experience that was pleasant to use. 40% of your app users disappear within 10 seconds if they don't like your onboarding screens. And that's just the onboarding screen. Then an app is more than that. It's a lot more than an onboarding screen. So you definitely need to keep your design in mind when you're building stuff. And design is not only about the color schemes or anything, or the gradients or how it looks on your phone. It's about how people interact with their app and how what the flow is behind the app and the user stories and everything. This is my favorite line from one of the articles that I found in the internet, and it says, "You can't really innovate on products without first innovating the way you build." It's from a It's from an article by an Airbnb called The Way We Build. And this really inspires me to actually think about the process of building apps before actually jumping into the code. So we spent first week, this was a 3-week project, and we spent about half of the first week just thinking about the user personas, how they're gonna use the app, and how what a typical user looks like, what they're usually thinking about. We follow the IDEO's 5-stage design principle to build the app, and for each stage here, we made a lot of mock-ups, did a lot of design research behind it. It's coming up in an upcoming blog post, but I can't explain everything here because of the time constraint. That's it. This is how our app looks in basically. So in Android and iPhone. Okay, let's start with the user persona of a typical user that uses the app. So meet Dan. He's 23 years old. He's a university student, and he explores the city that he lives in on weekends because he usually gets free times on his weekends. And now let's see how Dan uses our app Weekend to plan his day. All right, Bhavesh is going to continue here through the demo.
All right, let's start off with the demo. Dan's presented with a beautiful onboarding screen, which talks about the app, gives some information on what it is. And Dan can even continue with Facebook by logging in, or he can just skip it. Right now, he's just gonna skip it. The thing, he's presented a beautiful welcome screen, which has 2 components. The first is you start planning, and the other is the popular places around you. So, first of all, Dan reads some stuff, sees all the places that are popular near to him. He searches for a bar, he gets a bunch of places, he selects it. But now he thinks he's probably gonna plan the whole day. Let's just go back and start planning up the whole weekend, I guess. So he does start planning. First up, he's presented with breakfast. Dan loves coffee every day, so he's definitely gonna find coffee and probably donut as well, because why not? So he starts exploring up the places. He's presented with Cafe Rosso. He's given a bunch of data, like if it's open or closed right now, the amount of people who have checked in, and even the price of the place, and the rating as well. He selects the place. All the data is presented in the card format, which looks really good. He scrolls other places as well. I think he's gonna go for Pete's as well. So he also likes Pete's. Next up, he closes the app, goes to the next screen. Now, after he's done with coffee and donut, like his breakfast, he's probably gonna go out and see some attractions. So he's presented with a bunch of data. He's probably gonna select museum, or what next? Maybe aquarium or something like that. Because why not? Yeah. So he's again presented with data, but different data based on his selections. He searches for a place, probably likes GLBD History Museum, selects it, closes it. Next up is lunch. He's really hungry right now. I'm telling you, he's really hungry. So instead of looking at a bunch of places, he needs the food fast. So he's just gonna go for fast food right now, I'm telling you. So he explores places. In-N-Out Burger, sure. Next up, looks for other places. Panda Express, McDonald's, Carl's Jr., Taco Bell, McDonald's, Burger King, even Wendy's. Oh, Super Duper Burgers. That's a really good choice. He's gonna click that as well. Next up, after he's done with his lunch, he's presented evening attractions. But I think Dan's pretty tired right now after going to morning attractions and even having lunch. So he's probably gonna skip this thing. Next up, goes to dinner. Dan loves barbecue, so he's probably gonna choose barbecue as well. And then, what else? Korean, I guess? Oh, no, Delhi. Korean, he explores it, presented with a bunch of data, scrolls it. I think he's gonna choose this. Likes the place, and he's done planning the whole day. Now he presses done, and he's presented a beautiful screen which shows all his itinerary. On the Google Maps, he's presented all the places around him, the places that he has selected, and the markers that represents all the places that he has selected. He gets itinerary, he scrolls down, sees all the places. He can delete stuff, or he can navigate. So he's probably going to navigate. He's presented with the Apple Maps, which shows up the place, gets the directions, goes back, he's done for the day. Probably he's doing his whole trip with his friends, so he wants to share it. There's even a share button that he can do. So he can share it with friends on Twitter, on Facebook, on WhatsApp. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's weekend for you.
So have a good weekend, guys. Any questions?
So we have about 5 minutes for questions if anyone has any questions.
What APIs did you use?
So we use the Foursquare's API because it was giving a lot of data for free, so I'm like, why not? Might as well just use it.
100,000 requests.
Yeah, for days. And that is not for free. I'm like, yeah, it's a pretty good API.
What's up?
What are your next steps with the app,
Okay.
Yeah.
if any?
Oh, okay. So we wanted to implement. So right now, he is giving like the data that is shown on the start planning screen is all that is there. But what we are thinking is, we're gonna save the data. Probably write a machine learning code that, and for the next time, if he's gonna start his plan, let's say the next weekend, he's presented with the data that he has already like all the things that are showing up on the screen right now are probably going to be different for every week. And also, we're probably going to add a trending screen where like the places that are trending right now, like near you, are going to be shown in a list format so that.
Okay. So are you guys gonna keep like working on it and getting like
Yeah, we definitely want this in the app store.
users?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
So,
I really thought it was cool. You guys had the design process stuff in the beginning of the slides. I was curious when I was looking through your guys' screenshots. You have this view where you have a photo of the venue, and you have the type, like some text, right, heading 1, heading 2. I'm wondering why you guys went that route versus like maybe a higher information density route.
Do you mean like a list?
There's a lot of ways to convey higher information density, but yeah, like why was that the final route you guys went with?
Because I think, here's the thing. So we just learned React Native for a month, and there was a lot of things that we did in the mockup that we wanted to actually implement it. But then again, we also wanted to make the app look cooler. So we were definitely going the UX way. But then, like, hey, what will people like in the end? You know, will it be like?
That's pretty cool. I think like to dazzle someone is a great thing too.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Thank you guys. So next up is Chowin Out.
Hello everybody, we are Team Chowin Out, and our saying is just pick something now. A little question for you guys, how many of you guys like food? Hands up. Oh man, I thought everyone was raising their hands. Alright, so our application is supposed to try and improve one of the important interactions with going out and eating, which I'll go into more details later after I introduce our team. So this is our team. This is Jahan right here. He's our Chief Executive Officer. And Prakash right here, raise your hand, is our Chief Design Officer. And Sandeep right here is our VP of Software Engineering. And I'm Nicholas. I am the Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing. Alright, so as I said earlier, our application is called Chowin Out, and our app is to help people decide on food, as that's a pretty big issue when you're in a group. So our mission statement is, when you're hungry, we just want you to pick something now and be happy. So a little story or a little kind of a secret that only pretty much my friends know. They kind of call me a foodie for some reason. I do not like that term, but I'll embrace it. I don't know why that title got put onto me, but yeah, it's probably because I like to critique food a lot, and I like to talk about it, and I kind of give my opinion on it, and also I take pictures of the food I eat. And there's a specific reason why I do that, though. And here's an example of why. Here's a story. So I was out with my friends one day, and one of them wanted to eat like some sort of soup, and I was like, I didn't mind. I could eat literally anything. And another friend is really picky. They don't like anything that they found around them. So I decided to show them a picture of some food. And this looks pretty exotic, but just in case you guys wanted to know, this is bún bò. It's a Vietnamese noodle soup. It's very hard to describe in words, so that's why I decided to show a picture to them. A picture, as the saying goes, is worth 1,000 words. So if I tried to describe this would show absolutely nothing versus if I showed this to them. Because after I showed this picture to them, they decided right away, and they were like, let's go and get this and grab it. And that's where the idea came from for our application. So I thought I would pitch that to our team, and we decided to go with it. So we chose to do that. All right. As I said earlier, the issues of picking food is when you're in a group, no one could decide. Someone has to look up food and know what they want to get in the first place. We want to get rid of that by having location, or grabbing your location and grabbing the food nearby and showing you images of the food that you could pick around your location, so then you could make a decision quicker and faster, and you guys just get started getting food. And like, you don't have to waste time. All right, this is our application, and we're trying to solve that problem. So the UI is easy and simple to use. The app is easy to use, and the UI is simple. And then the pictures entice people to choose specific food, because when you're hungry, you're kind of irrational, so a little bit. So then after that, if you have a picture of food while you're hungry, you're more inclined to choose a food right away versus trying to search for something or trying to think of something to search for. Oh, and this is our differences between iOS and Android, so it works on both. It looks exactly the same, but they work on both platforms, so we thought we would show images of that. And then, so take Bobby for instance. He's out with his friends. He wants to grab something to eat, and no one can decide on what to eat. And he's with his friend Mary and John, and he decided to pull up his application and give it a try because he recently just downloaded this application. So this is what the application looks like when you open it. So the menu screen shows you discover food and then find food around you. This one helps tells you that you can locate a restaurant, kind of gives you a little information about the application. Next one, you can actually get a recipe, which I'll show you in the demo about how that works. And then you can also favorite, so you can save your recipes, save the food items that you found in your current location. And then, and this is a nice looking thing we have to show. And then now we get started. So, and also this application grabs location automatically. So if you didn't have this on, you would have to press the button, the red button, which is get location. But we set it to automatically try to grab the location automatically. So Bobby is just opening his application, and then and then after that, he sees this picture. He likes fried rice, but Mary doesn't like fried rice, so he decides to like it, so he can save it for later. So we decide to go to the next one. Mary likes cheese pizza, but John also doesn't like cheese pizza. So then that's no good. Oh man, no, I'm not sure about that. Oh, let's go for sushi, right? Everyone decided on sushi, so they decided to go. So let's just press on that. Okay. It shows you all the different restaurants that serve that specific food around you. And then this is where you kind of decide on choosing what specific restaurant you can choose. It's basically bridges the gap between searching for food and finding the specific food. So let's just go to one of them. So as you can see, it shows a map of the location. You can get directions from your current location to that specific place. You can call them. You can also give more information, like on Yelp, so you can actually see it. Okay, let's give them a call right now.
Okay.
Oh.
Hopefully they pick up, but. Hello, can I get an order of 500 chicken nuggets? Oh, I'm sorry, just kidding, wrong number. See, that was a real number, but I guess they didn't tell us what restaurant they were, but okay. So this is our, just in case you were feeling a little adventurous, as Bobby saved his favorite food, or one of his foods that he wanted to check out, fried rice. You could actually go there and find a recipe. If he was feeling adventurous, you could actually go and make that. So there's like options for different, or the recipe for making that specific food, and then the calories, and also nutrition facts and whatnot. You can also view a recipe and actually see a video and actual detailed instructions on how to make that specific food. And yeah, and Bobby's really happy with the application, so yeah. All right, so the applications that are the core, that we use for the core of Chowin Out is Eat Street, Yumly, and Yelp. Eat Street grabs the current location and grabs menus in that specific location. So then we grab food items and then we send that to Yumly. Yumly then we then search what we searched in the Eat Street menus to get food items, and then we get images for those food items that we saw in that beautiful carousel. And then if someone chooses a specific food item in that carousel, it'll be sent to Yelp for that specific food item, and we'll get a bunch of restaurants. So that is our application, Chowin Out. You guys have any questions? Oh, yes.
I saw in the beginning, I'm not sure you're super serious about it, but are you trying to make this a business?
It wasn't really, I didn't think that far through, but we could.
I'm just curious. I mean, the titles were funny then.
Oh, okay. Glad to hear that. What was that?
How do you generate the recipes? The recipes are generated through, we're grabbing from Yumly. Yumly provides all the images for each individual food item, and it provides the ingredients and the recipes. That's where Yumly comes into play. Eat Street is basically, like you mentioned before, it's basically to grab food items. It's actually really hard to get individual food items. As we were looking through Yelp, they now got into showing menus on their app, but you can't use it on their, it's not quite. So we have to go with Eat Street, and then Yummy is for the other stuff. And like the whole concept for this app was to have the user not type anything. So basically, user experience was like one of our functionality that we wanted to go. So you actually saw there was no search bar, no typing, nothing. It was all just tap and just selecting and going through. Yes.
What was the hardest part of working with React Native?
You guys want to mention your
hardest part is probably connecting to different APIs and like generating data, getting data, and showing it on the screen. But basically, it's really easy, especially when you have access to different kind of libraries that are open source and you can use them. You can change to make it like your own and like show it and build it.
Yes, yeah.
Oh yeah. So the problem you're trying to solve is to see if you have a group of friends and you try to pick like some dishes to eat together.
Yeah.
But I didn't see the solution to that at the end.
Oh, that was basically our demo. We were showing
Yeah.
like, we're So you're having like an argument in a group or something, you can't decide on something.
Right.
So that's where our app comes in play. Basically, our apps like chooses for you. That's what the no searching, no typing. It was just sliding through.
Yeah, it kind of brings you.
It's like a
more-
yes or no question, basically.
Yeah, it brings you closer to the food versus trying to search for something. If you have to know what you're searching for before you're actually able to search for something, right? That's where Yelp doesn't really do too much. If you don't know what you're looking for, it's kind of not helpful. So we thought we would try to bridge that gap. Yeah.
Could you walk us through with how you're loading the data and like how you're transforming it?
So basically, we started off with eStreet first, like I mentioned before, and we're making, it's actually a lot of API calls nested through. I have to get through to get just the name of individual food. Like for example here, nigris, sushi, like egg roll and stuff. And we're making another chain API call to Yumli to get the images and the recipes, so that we're passing off to the when you actually want to review the recipe. And the Yelp is just to get the restaurants. So it actually checks the name that actually goes through, and then if that restaurant has that item or not.
So is all the data or all the food you're pulling in random?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
completely random. So like for future, it's kind of slow right now because like I said before, I had to make a lot of API calls and I had to chain them. So I would rather make my own database and improve that. And because like everything's all scattered, because I'm making like, I'm probably making like 5 or 6 API calls just from 3 APIs. And I would rather make my own one, like have a backend server for it.
Just curious, how long did it take you guys to build this?
3 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah, they did mostly UI work. I spent like 2 weeks just trying to connect all the APIs together.
That's impressive.
Yeah, so if there's some issue or something like that, then that's probably why. Not trying to use that as an excuse, but yeah, there we go, 3 weeks, yeah.
All right, so next up is Spiral.
So 1 second to set up. Hi guys, my name is Ryan, this is Mitzel and Thomas, and we are Spiral. And so our app is a POS app using blockchain technology on the Dash network, which will handle cryptocurrency transactions. So the idea behind Spiral is a process of coming to the same point and again, but at a different level, so everything is seen in a new light. And so when I read this, I thought, well, that's exactly what every transaction is. It's the same thing, but every transaction is different. It's always in a different setting, but it always comes together at a different but same level. And so what we're doing and trying to do is kind of be like a Square or a Rebel of the merchant market, where we're going to give merchants basically the power to handle crypto transactions in person, where they can have like a fully customizable POS system. They can handle all the bookkeeping and then create transactions on the ledger, where then they can have their own wallet where they'll be able to hold their own cryptocurrencies. And so what we're going to talk about a little bit today is blockchain technology and cryptocurrency, kind of the problem, and then our solution and a demo of our app. So blockchain, cryptocurrency, most people have heard about this, I'm assuming in the room. Bitcoin is now at over $9,000. It's definitely not just a buzzword. It is going to be the future, where we are moving into currency 2.0, where cryptocurrency is going to be a part of our currency. It's not just going to be the dollar or the euro, it's going to be Bitcoin, it's going to be Dash, it's going to be all these different coins that are going to be transacted all over the world. So here is famous DJ Khaled, another one, supporting Bitcoin. He has millions of followers, so the word's getting out that this is the new technology, this is the new future. And so now Basis just recently got $133 million from all the top investors, and they basically are offering a coin that's going to be a stable cryptocurrency. So what the problem with cryptocurrency is right now is it's so volatile. is that Bitcoin went up to almost 20 or at $20,000 and then dropped down to 6 and it's going up and down, and that's just not sustainable to handle a transaction, because within seconds your dollar could be less or it could be more in Bitcoin, and that's a problem. And so now Basis is trying to solve that, and now what we're trying to do with Spiral is we're trying to be at the forefront of this transformation of Currency 2.0, where we can offer this solution to businesses where they can handle cryptocurrency transactions at their businesses, from a coffee shop to a boutique to a restaurant. And Mitchell's going to talk a little bit more about our problem, the problem and the solutions that we're trying to offer.
So the problems what we are facing right now is we see that all these like different companies charge like a lot of money, right? And a lot of like fees. So if the fees are increasing, the profit margin decreases, right? But our aim is not to like just like ship this product, but we started with this strategy that okay, we'll make something and then we'll allow users, we'll motivate users and local businesses to use the software. So in that way, the reason why they will use our software is we will have like very, very, very less fees, so they can like get their feedback. So that's one of the problems that's happening today. And the second problem is, as we see, there's like sometimes, I'm so sorry, can you please give me cash? Like card is not working. We see those sentences when we like go to any shops and to buy products, right? So we want to eliminate that. So all we need to like use the software is basically to just our smartphone that we have already, right? So it's super convenient, no hardware needed, no maintenance, nothing. It's simply just like a scan QR code. You go, you buy something, they will like show you a QR code, you scan it, and then that's how the transfer is gonna work. And the third thing is we don't. The problem that is happening today is we're waiting days for bank to authorize the transaction, right? But then with the cryptocurrency, it's gonna be very instantaneous. So it will be like in a quick second, the money will be transferred and the transactions and the receipts and everything will be emailed. So those are the problems that we are like trying to solve now. So I'm gonna show you some of the screens of the Android and iOS. So that's kind of like how it looks like in Android and how it looks like in iOS. And that's our transaction screen. And the second slide is gonna be our card screen. So this is how it looks like in Android. This is how it looks like in an iOS. And the third one is, this is how the market looks like, where it fetches all this like, where it fetches the price of the coins and everything from an API. And then you can like switch through which one you want. So I'm not going to talk a lot of detail right now. So let's just jump in and let's see the live demo of how our application looks like.
Bear with us for 1 second. Technical difficulties. All right, so yeah, this is our POS screen. We're basically simulating what it looked like at a kind of counter barbecue hamburger restaurant. So say I'm really hungry, I want some barbecue. Let's add that to the cart. And then let's have a couple hamburgers because I eat a lot of food. And awesome, and I'm very, very thirsty, so let's get a drink. We'll head there, vodka, sounds good. Always good on a Friday night. And then let's check out, so let's go to the cart. And so what's happening in real, we take the Bitcoin in the real time and then we transfer it to US dollars. And then let's, and then we can change from different coins. And our goal is to basically be offering more coins than this as well. And so let's check out as we would do in a normal transaction with Dash. And so this is we actually are creating real transactions on the ledger. We're using a backend that we built with Node.js. And we're using it on the Dash network. And why we picked the Dash network, and that's also how a crypto transaction would work, is you can either pay the address or you would scan your wallet with that QR code. And that transaction technically wasn't confirmed, but we were trying to simulate basically how it would be, because I don't want to necessarily give all my Dash coins away. But why we're doing it on the Dash network is that Dash is trying to make transactions instantaneous, so they're near instantaneous. It's about like 1 to 5 minutes right now, and it's only going to get better and better. And so here's our market screen. We use the Coin Market API to grab all of the real-time coin value, and then we change it from US dollars to Bitcoin as well. And then these would be all of our transactions too, which are being pulled in LTCT, our Litecoin on testnet, which we use to test our transactions. So they're not actually worth anything, but they still represent a Litecoin at its code, as far as its code. And then our, this would be a wallet, which we haven't implemented as well. But that would be the goal, is that we would be able to have a wallet where then the merchant would be able to keep track of all their coins and then be basically their own bank as well. And so that's basically our app, and what we kind of want to do is, or what we want to do is move into kind of like an open source project, because right now you can't really run a restaurant on crypto coins. Like, that's not going to work. Like, people want to pay in cash, people want to pay in credit card, but what we want to do is we want to be kind of at the forefront of this transformation. We want to help this crypto community move forward into creating currency 2.0. And yeah, that's our app. Thanks, guys. Any questions?
So a customer would be on the Dash network, like to connect their wallet to the app. Is that how
They wouldn't have to be on the Dash network. They could really have any coin. With the API that we're using, we can handle most coin transactions. Sometimes when you transfer between different coins, that's where they would charge an extra fee. But for instantaneous transactions, Dash charges 0.01 Dash to make it instant. Otherwise, it takes like, I think, 10 to 20 minutes.
I got a question.
Yeah.
You brought up Basis towards the beginning, which I actually hadn't heard of, that's trying to lower the volatility of cryptocurrency.
Right.
With the current design, it looks like the vendors have to take on the risk of the volatility. Is that what that's what it looks like? Is that the intention?
Right, so it's a huge problem, and basically what we're trying to do is kind of build software to help merchants get to that level. It's not necessarily that they're going to be at this level today, because that is really a big problem and something that we can't really fix right now, but eventually when, say, Basis would come on the network, then we would be able to have this product already shipped where then merchants would be able to use it.
That's cool. So Basis would, I have know nothing about it, but would try to provide that as like a service.
Exactly. So yeah, we would open source it, like Dash. Other coins have open sourced their wallets and their transactions and their apps. So like everyone and all developers can use it, because it is like a growing community and it's a very new community. So we want to, be a part of that community and build it.
It's cool. Yeah.
Is there any way you can just build the same technology Basis is building in-house instead of relying on their technology?
I wish, yeah. I don't think I'm not at that aptitude yet, but there's 3 Princeton grads that have been working on it for a year. But the technology that they're building is the actual coin itself, and then building a network where they're using how inflation works. Sorry, how inflation works, where if there's going to be more coins, you lower inflation. If there's less coins, you higher inflation. It might be the other way around, but
kind of like Stellar.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks.
Are most of the libraries for interacting with crypto, I guess on the notes, are already written, or were there things you had to do custom?
The API was written, and then we had to kind of create our own endpoints for it. But yeah, I just kind of wrote. Yeah, it's pretty simple, not super complicated backend. But eventually, we would want to write our own backend where we would use just the Dash open source, and we would create it from scratch. Sweet. Cool. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so now we're going to take about 2 minutes. The judges are going to decide. So the way it works is there's 3 prizes that we have. The first one is best app. That's 2 of the prizes the judges are going to decide, which is the best app as well as best design. Since it's React Native, it's iOS and Android, so we want to make sure the students that have taken into consideration both the platforms. And there's another, the third prize, which is basically most popular app, which everyone will be voting for. And the way that's going to work is everybody's going to text in their vote, and then we're going to decide who is the best, most popular app. So we're going to take 2 minutes, and we'll be right back. So the judges have decided who's going to win, and so this is the popular vote, and we already see that Chowin Out has won, which is awesome. So congratulations to them.
Okay, best design goes to Weekender.
And best app goes to Chowin Out.
As far as the prizes are concerned, so the initial prize money was basically $125 for the students to put their apps on the App Store and the Play Store. But then the judges have also been kind enough to sponsor it. So do you guys want to announce what you guys are giving away?
So for all students who participated, I'm going to give you a copy of my React Native book.
So Expo, you guys all write React Native, right? So you guys know what Create React Native app is.
Yes.
So we Expos, we were the stewards behind that, and also a whole bunch of tools that break sometimes. So I got some OG hoodies from when the company first started.
Wow.
So the team with the most votes gets them, I guess.
So that's about it for the event. Again, thanks a lot for coming. It means a lot for the students and for MobileSpace. Feel free to hang around and just get some slides.
We have one more thing. We have a little gift for you, Monte. So I was having a hard time thinking, or we were having a hard time thinking what we should get for Monte. And then we thought about it, we're like, he's always talking about going to Mars. He's going to be there in 2030. I was like, well, what could we get for him? And I was like, wait, I'm pretty sure you can buy land on Mars. We're thinking about his future, and he's thinking about our future. So once the PDF load. There we go. So that is a deed to your 1 acre of land on Mars. And you can show exactly where it is.
And you guys can meet Monte in 2030 right there in Mars. So
Again, thank you guys for coming, and just stick around, or yeah, thanks for coming again. Cool.